There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's me, Shweebe, and welcome to the first ever Salty Podcast. And I am here with my very fabulous friend, Unicorn. Uni.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Uni.
Hey. How you doing, boo? How's things?
I, uh, um, I'm currently shaking the ash off of my clothing from what was today's dumpster fire of a stream. How are you?
I am doing fantabulous. I did get to watch your stream, and I thought that would be a perfect start off for the Salty Podcast. You and I have talked about doing this for a while now, and I was like, oh yeah, after that, we must share. So,
Yeah.
please go ahead and inform us. Feel free to drop the game if you want. Just understand, these are merely our opinions. We're not saying don't go and check out the game or anything. It's just, this was our experience with it. So, but please feel free to explain the stream and the game, and go ahead.
Okay, so, I'm trying to figure out how to begin with this. So earlier today, I played the game Alaska with my teammate Leon, and the game is available on Steam. I don't have the link handy, but I will put it in the comments after. Basically, it follows the story of, I want to say his name is David. I could be wrong. And basically, you're living in Alaska and you get like a week long view of like living in this town in Alaska. And oh boy, yep, that's about as entertaining as that game gets.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, it only gets worse from there. Um First of all, this game was on Kickstarter. The game goes for about $4 now, which, fun fact, we were going to return that game, but we're actually not eligible to do that now because Steam only allows you to return games after like 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours of
2 hours
gameplay, and then like
gameplay.
30 days after you own it or something.
Yeah, and well, we hit 3 and some odd hours, so we just kind of shrugged it off and put it in the trash can. But so I had mentioned this prior to stream, but after we had looked up this developer, because looking at the channel trailer on their YouTube channel, which I don't really want to link because I don't want to like start a witch hunt or whatever.
Right.
But so this is not the first developer's game. This is not their first game. This is like their third game. Which saw the quality that was piss poor at best. And well, so they had a Kickstarter for this game, right? And do you want to take a guess at what they were asking for the like crowdfunding?
I think you mentioned it during
was?
the stream. It was like $20,000 to
yeah, they
get
wanted
the funding.
they wanted $20,000 for that game.
What did they reach? Like, what did they actually manage to get out of that Kickstarter?
$507.
Okay, now, in all fairness, this is not anything against Kickstarters at all. It's just merely stating where it originated from, because I've come across plenty of Kickstarter games that are fan-freaking-tastic, okay?
Right.
I personally enjoy Cafe Rouge and Cannibal Lottery, visual novels, and they're fabulous. I've also played, a couple other games that came from Kickstarter. Dandy Ace is one of them. Mindseas, I think, was also on Kickstarter. Another fabulous game. It's more... I wouldn't say that Alaska is a bad game, but we'll get more into the reason why we only give it like 3 out of 10 reindeers. You'll figure out what that means. But it could definitely use a little more polish and a bit more research into what it was they were trying to go for. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, honestly, and I just want to make this clear right now. You guys have seen some of my previous work here on Shweebe's channel, and that was by no means the best work that I've done. So I'm not gonna come on here and say that I'm absolutely perfect. And I never talk about another indie game developer in a way to send hate their way. I just want to make that clear because when you get into this industry, talking bad about each other is not helpful in any way. It's not conductive to the industry, and this kind of goes along with the expectations of being an indie developer. Of no matter how bad someone's project is, unless it's like, you know, legally or even socially just completely out of touch and awful with no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, it's kind of the expectation that as an indie game developer, you're going to be respectful to one another. You don't have to like what they make and you don't have to like how they do it, but it's just that mutual respect.
Right. But that should be like a common sense thing for anybody. It's you give what you get, so don't be an ass about it. It's fine to have constructive criticisms towards anything, and this is why I'm saying I wouldn't say that the game overall is bad. It's just there were certain aspects of it that didn't show enough research was being done, and it just seemed kind of slapped together in certain parts. However, even though the goal itself was 20,000, they only got 500. What they managed to make out of the 500 is very impressive. I liked it, but there was still some of it that I'm like, there could have been more. There could have been just a touch more. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
how
And
how about you tell us what started the Salt Fest for yourself playing the game Alaska?
oh my
Do it.
um what did what did start it? Oh, oh, wait, yeah, it was the 20 or so minutes that I was late getting to my stream. Um, which reason would you like for that? The complete freezing of the game, or the fact that I had to completely restart my PC to be able to hear the audio properly, or the 5 minutes of just the window resizing.
Oh, so
Take your
it was
pick.
strictly the game that was holding you back because it kept crashing.
Yeah, at one point we actually had to close out the game and reopen it because I figured out what I did. I
Oh,
accidentally hit tab. I
yeah.
accidentally hit tab. So it was trying to open up Steam, like the Steam overlay, and that game was not Steam overlay like
They didn't
fully
have it set up to
compatible,
where.
so it like froze.
Oh, that's a basic, especially if it's gonna
And
be a Steam game. You have to have that be a thing.
it's like I did it later and it worked fine.
But it
Did it
just didn't
later and
work
it
that one
worked fine.
time. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, and another problem that we had is um do not get this game unless you have a fairly decent PC or laptop. Um so the specs for mine roughly are I have about a 12 gigabyte um like range of RAM with a 1 terabyte hard drive. Um the game was about two maybe, yeah, it was about 2 or 3 gigabytes in size. So it's a fairly decent sized game for what we had. And it completely just like made my computer cry. Like my fan was going nuts. And this is about the only game that I've really played like that has caused that issue.
Which is kind of surprising because it wasn't not necessarily heavily graphicked, if that makes any sense. I realize that's not proper grammar. I don't care. Because I watched most of the stream with you before I had to leave because I had to go shopping. But
yeah,
like the graphics themselves, I would say are like right around like that nice PS2 era. So looking at the game gave me like a sense of nostalgia, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Minus when the characters would talk, that reminded me a lot of Sonic when he would move his whole mouth and eyebrows at the same time from Sonic Adventure DX. It was so funny. I was like, you know what? It has its charm. It has its charm in a really weird way, but you did mention that the game itself didn't have key bindings, which I feel in this day and age, that's kind of a necessity when it comes to most games. You need key bindings because what they offered for movement, which you showed the overlay during your stream, and I was like, that looks awkward as heck. Because it wasn't like your WSAD,
right.
It was something else.
Oh no, it was WSAD, but it was also arrow keys, and it was like, given everything else that you need to do, alright, so, I don't even...
Whoa, you're peeking.
I don't even know where to get extinguisher. Am I peeking?
Just a tad. So either you were getting too close to your mic, or I think you're fine now.
Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. The models themselves were kind of what started it. It was the lack of key binding and, you know, personalization of the controls. The UI drove me nuts. It constantly, like, first half of the game, it was so resource intensive that the game actually froze.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and if you go back and actually watch the stream, you can actually see, like, next to the name in the window, it actually says not responding. And it was because it was trying to load the assets for the next stream, like for the next scene, and it just couldn't handle it.
Now, this isn't like we're not making this entire Salty podcast picking on Alaska. It's more or less just pointing out other things and comparing it to, you know, what we would prefer best when it comes to games in general. Now, considering that you were having a, it's a UI, right? The Unity engine itself?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so, Cloud Novel is a somewhat popular UI that they use for a lot of visual novel games out there. Cafe Rouge being one of them. Overall, I enjoy the story for what I have played, but the Cloud Novel UI is very finicky at best. There were several times where I would play the game and it would either crash, or when it comes to visual novels, you have play, rewind, and fast forward buttons, and they would either not work, or the save and load files would not save or load, and I'd have to restart everything that I just did and pray to God that I remember the choices that I made. Luckily, since I'm recording said game, I can just go back and look at my recordings, but if I'm in the middle of a recording trying to do this, you can understand the slight frustration with that. So I think overall, when it comes to games, make sure whatever hub you're going to use, or UI in general, that it is user-friendly, like the 95 Windows system user-friendly, because anything past that is proving to be more and more annoying and just causing more bugs than what most people will be okay with. If your interface and then just overall controls for your game are not easy to navigate, that will be one of the first things that people will notice and get very irritated with.
Right. Like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and like pick on this developer because that's not what I'm about. That's not what I do. My thing is that there was clearly no consideration for how um this game would actually be played on any other system. And I feel like with a lot of the issues that we had, I feel that this game was either not play tested adequately, or I would even go to say that this game was not play tested at all. So, my biggest thing for game developers, and I want to put this out there,
Mm-hmm.
game developers, anybody that is either one now or considering, some things that I would really like you to keep in mind are to really consider file size. How much space is your game going to take up on somebody else's system? Because just because your computer can handle it does not mean somebody else's computer can handle that as well. And I feel that it's important that to a point, you take other people's systems into consideration.
They do when they list the
That
specs,
would be
though. They do when they list the specs
right.
because it'll tell you, hey, this game is going to be this big and it'll wind up, putting this amount of information on your computer. Thus, they also have to tell you. Actually, I think games now are required to tell you exactly what you're going to need for memory, what you're going to need for graphics and all that, whatever. However, I can understand where you're coming from, but the other thing is with that, I'm going to tell you, if you want a pretty, graphically gorgeous looking game, expect it to take a really large file size and lots of grams and rams and terabytes and what have you, tech wise, in order for it to be this pitiful little thing that you want to be on your PC. However, if you have something that's going to look along the lines of, like, I don't know, like an old SNES game or a PS1 game, like perfect example, Undertale. Very simple graphics. That does not take up a whole crap ton of, graphic usage on your computer, which is fine. It's fabulous. Then you can get away with it in that regard, but it has to fit whatever it is that you're trying to go for in the game, because everybody's got the specific style that they wanted, and the game that you played today was a 3D model type game. I really didn't have any issues with the model design personally. I thought overall, for what they had, it was cute. A little rough around certain edges, more or less like the words matching with the mouths. But overall, it was a nice looking
Yeah.
game. Their background and sceneries for like their cutscenes was fabulous. I loved those.
Oh, the cutscenes were phenomenal.
Oh my god, the
Like
freaking
I was
Aurora
actually very
Borealis.
shocked at how well I know that. Yes, so as you can tell by the title, Alaska takes place in literally Alaska. And there
No.
was a portion of the game where you're out at night, and it is absolutely stunning. I mean, they got the Aurora Borealis like perfect.
Yes. I man,
And
it was
it was
gorgeous.
beautiful.
Mm.
So like I'm not saying that everything about this game was awful. One thing that I would recommend to maybe make that game a little user friendly is I know that Leon had mentioned it before. Um more indicators of where you need to go, clearly marked paths. That was a problem that we had. Like finding trails and stuff was a bit difficult because they kind of blended in too well with the surroundings.
Yeah, I did notice
So
that.
it took us a little while to figure out where to go.
Yeah, I noticed y'all kept getting lost like a lot. So I feel like in a situation like that, it's either you have like even if it's something as simple as like down in the bottom of the screen where it goes, check your map for where you need to go next, or I don't know, something blink at you, beep at you, so you go, okay, I have to check this, I need to go this way. Because y'all were like testing the boundaries of the map, trying to figure out where you had to go, and you were running into the infamous invisible walls in games because you didn't know where you were supposed to go. So
Right.
I can understand that. Now
Right.
let's talk about my favorite thing in that entire game. It's my favorite thing in every game, and I have other games that I'm going to include in this. So again, don't think we're bullying Alaska. We're not. It's the it's the voice acting.
Oh,
It was okay. If they were going for something
oh
super
God.
serious, I would have undoubtedly picked on it hardcore. But if anything, I feel like the okay-ish, and I'm gonna call it that, the okay-ish voice acting that they had worked for the overall look that the game had. So, like, I'm willing to give that one away, but I've played other games where that's been the case too. Like, I think the only voice in there that was remotely, like, fit, and I wouldn't have questioned it, I think her name was Anna. It was the chick that was in the well. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Her. I think her voice is
Yeah,
probably the
it
only
didn't.
one that sounded natural.
Yeah, every other one sounded like you were putting it through what was it? It was like that paperclip in Word.
Yeah. Okay, so the other example that I have would be I don't know if anybody knows about this game, but it's called Ellen. It was a horror game, and it was now its graphics were pixel based, and it was amazing. It worked very well. I'm gonna tell you something right now that you don't need the greatest graphics to tell a story. You can have any graphics so long as the story is good. Now, the voice acting in Ellen was, I would say, I'll give it 7 out of 10 spooky ghosts. If you want to know what I mean by that, go play Ellen. I've been dropping links for every game that has been being mentioned, or at least if I can find them, in the live chat. So feel free to go and click those. I also dropped Uni's channel, so go and sub. Um,
Oh, thank you, thank you.
you're very welcome, my dear. One of the voices in there was, I forget the actual character's name, but I think it was like the son or something. You find these tapes, and he sounded like he was quite literally either bored reading his lines, and it was just like, ugh, dude, you're ruining the atmosphere. But then this other guy who was playing as a victim to circumstances that happened in the past, it sounded like it was going on at that very moment, and it added back to the atmosphere. So my biggest thing when it comes to voice actors, you really got to get into the character that you're gonna play as. Otherwise, it just ruins the overall story and atmosphere that you're trying to create. It just seems like like when you go and watch kids do a play, they're just like, "All rise, the king of so and so has cometh. Hi, Kevin. I mean, Sir Arthur." That's, it's what kind of comes across, and it's not that great.
Right, yeah. Um, I just wow. And the game was so slow at first, and then it just went to like just straight up boom, like car accident. It was oh man. I it makes my head hurt. Like, guys, I wish you understood. By the way, that ending involving Jenna, I actually had to look that up because I thought that was illegal. Apparently, it is not.
What?
However, I feel that that game should have included a disclaimer.
Okay.
Like,
Well, how about we'll leave the ending as a spoiler-free
right.
thing in case anybody would like to go and play it.
Actually, you're right. You're right. We should.
Cause
Yeah.
so, with I want to try and do this without spoiling anything because it's like I said, it's not bad. It's charming in its own way, but could really use some polish. Now, Story-wise, when it comes to writing what characters are saying, you really have to think about it as, instead of, because some of it came across as like it was two Sims talking instead of two people talking, because when you have like, hey Robert, hey Bob, hey Robert, how was your day today, and so on, and nobody talks like that. It's like, hey dude, what's up, how you doing? It's very nonchalant, and this seemed like so stiff-lipped with a lot of the
Oh yeah.
quote unquote dialogue. That's where it can also hurt a story. But speaking of the story, and again, I'm not going to give anything away because then it'll ruin everything. When you are doing spookily type things, you really got to do a lot of research if you're going to be going for something that is more realistic, because if you don't, and then you wind up with people like myself that watch a lot of like NCIS or forensic shows and crazy stuff like that, I will be able to pick it apart and go, that's wrong, because psychologically so and so and whatever, it doesn't make sense. But even somebody like, I'm assuming you don't watch NCIS and stuff like that, right?
Oh, honey, I've seen all 18 seasons.
Oh, you have? Okay, then never mind. So, but even then, I feel like even somebody that hasn't would still look at this and go, that doesn't quite make sense. You know what I mean?
That is not correct.
That is not correct.
Like, yeah.
What about Leon? Does he watch like NCIS stuff?
Not really, but even he knew that, like,
that it was weird, right?
He knew that was not right. He
okay.
knew that was not right.
My point exactly.
I wish he felt comfortable with it, because if you notice that when he and I stream together, I don't have my camera on.
Yeah.
He's new to streaming, and so I don't have my camera on, like, for his comfort and
right.
his identity protection. Like, I wish you guys could have seen our faces, because 90% of that stream was just him and I with our faces in our palms.
I'm sure.
Because
I'm sure it was either that or you guys were slack-jawed come the ending for that one.
It was, guys, all I can say is this is bad. Really bad. By the way, you said that you posted all the links in the chat, right?
Yeah, they're all in live chat.
Weird, because I've got nothing on my end.
Are you in top chat? Oh, it's not even in live chat.
I'm in live chat.
That's rude. I have been posting them. Why are they not? Do I have to pin them? Do I really have to do that? Oh, that's dumb.
Apparently you have to.
Oh, that's so dumb. Okay, well, alright, so I will re-go through all of these then. That's really silly. Alright.
No, because every time you pin it, it gets rid of it.
Ah! Alright, fine. Well, I'm leaving Uni's link up there. I don't know why it's not showing them. That's fine. Once this stream is all said and done, I'll put all these links in the top comments, so you guys can go and check those out.
Right, yeah.
So, I don't know why it is refusing my love today, but whatever. So...
I mean, it's YouTube, so... You know.
It could also be that I technically don't allow URLs to go through my live streams, just so we don't wind up with the
random... That might be why it might...
The random person that comes through likes to leave their link and then just peace out, so that might be why. But the fact that it's moi, the queen, that's dropping links in her own stream, excuse me, but that's beside the point.
Do mods have that, like, override? Or is it literally everybody?
I don't really know. That's fine. Alright, so...
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk hypotheticals. We're no longer picking on games, and again, go and check out the games. We're going to be leaving links to every single game. It's more or less just what we feel could have been a little better, without spoiling any of them, because I really enjoyed all of them. I did enjoy Alaska. I think what made it more entertaining for myself was listening to you and Leon talk about it, and then it was just us in the chat section just going nuts and picking little things out and just kind of creating
Oh
our own
man.
little thing with it. It's great. So, hypotheticals.
You guys really made that stream just so funny.
No, it was all y'all. Hearing Leon laugh anytime that myself and I can't remember the other person's name. The other person that was in chat with me.
Oh, Maxie.
Maxie,
Maxie.
thank you. When we were just like shooting the shit back and forth on the game, it was so funny. All right, now hypotheticals. When it comes to
Right.
not strictly indie games, but any game really, what are some things that you are willing to sacrifice, but still say overall it's a good game?
All right. So mainly what I look for in games that I find um playable that I enjoy. I mainly look at storyline if there is one. Some games don't have it, and that's fine. I usually look for other things with games like that.
Right.
However, with games like Alaska, um I enjoyed it. Did I want to like throw my monitor out the window with that ending? Yeah. Like I wanted to like take a baseball bat to my monitor. But I enjoyed it because even though that I felt that the game was really rushed, um I really saw that the developer was really going for like a story rich, game, and
Right.
that I could really enjoy. Mainly also UI, please, if anything. I can forgive this storyline. I can forgive the character art. I can forgive pretty much anything. But unnecessary controls, difficult controls, and just overall look of the game, that is really something that I can't
Right.
um like things like the way that we had to save made me angry.
How did you have to save?
We
I
only
never
had
saw that.
Okay, so pretty much you can only save in certain parts. Um Along with that, in order for you to save, you have to literally save, and when you save, it automatically boots you to the main menu.
Oh. No, that's
Every
annoying.
time Yeah, every time you save, you have to go back into the game. And
So
I
it was
mean,
an
it's a
automatic save and
minor.
exit then.
Yeah, it was a save and exit thing, and it didn't just give you the option to save. Their reason for it was so that way you're not saving in the middle of cutscenes and like
Uh,
mechanical wise, like messing up
yeah.
the cutscenes.
I mean,
However, what were you gonna say?
no, I was agreeing. Like I could see why they would go that route. However, the fact that when you save and it kicks you out all the way to the main menu, don't assume that with me. Jesus, that gets annoying.
Another thing is too, and I don't really mess around a lot with coding, just because I haven't had the need to so far. But you can easily put a a line of code in there or a line of function that when these certain, literally something along the lines of, if this scene is playing, disable this button.
Right.
So it forces you to. I felt that that was showing in a way the developers' limitations of what their knowledge was, and that is a typical thing. I believe that game was made in Unity, and speaking from personal experience on this one,
Mm-hmm.
Unity is a very hard engine to code in. It does require, if you're not paying for the use of engines, to sit there and write your own coding and writing your own scripts. it is difficult. And there are some times where you're going to miss a certain thing that could be considered crucial. For me, I consider disabling menu options on cutscenes and being able to save at pretty much any point in my game a crucial feature.
Right.
So not being able to save when I felt that I wanted to save, but when the developer felt that I needed to save, um, kind of made the game feel a little less tailored to me.
Though it could be something now.
Which,
Again, this isn't picking on any one developer or anything, but more or less something that I have
right,
noticed from the several games that I've played. This is also including bigger titles. Often cases, it's when it comes to indie games, in most cases, it is a single person doing the work of the coder, the artist, the you name it. They're doing it all by themselves. The one thing that I will say though is coding is hard AF. I had taken a class for it in college. I didn't continue with it because I hated every minute of it. It is very hard. The if this then this happens code alone is frustrating. So I would suggest
right,
if you're gonna be doing any
right.
kind of dev stuff or coding in general, continue to take tutorials. No matter what the program is that you're using. Are you alright, Uni? Are you falling? What is that noise?
Oh, why?
Oh, I just got it like
I
a whoosh of wind, and I thought maybe you had fallen over or something.
no, no.
I'm glad
Trust
you're
me, if
alright.
I did, you'd hear the life alert going off.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I
So
know.
in cases like that, and with anything in life, if you're going to be pursuing a passion of some kind, continue to look up tutorials and continuously try to improve upon yourself. Now, being that this was this guy's third game, I can only imagine that they've improved a lot since their first two games. Because again, it's not a bad game. It's charming in its own way. The Ellen game. I have no idea if that was their first game, but with the different things that I picked out here and there, and even that particular story did have dips in it that I'm like, how does this make sense and whatever. Even then, I would hope the next game that they do, that they will take whatever they have done, learned a bit more, and make an even better game. Now, that being said,
Right.
not every dev is a good story writer. I have a personal hobby where I like to read different fan fictions from just your average Joe. Like they are not big name people ever, and it's just about different
Hobby.
things, right? Just to see, what your average Joe can write. And there are some talented mofos out there, and then there are some mofos out there as well when it comes to writing. I am somewhere like in between. I don't post any of it. It's more or less just a practice thing that I can do for myself. Now, that being said, the Ellen story, the backbone for it is really good, but some of its off branches here and there in the game was very questionable. And I'm not going to touch on it because, again, I'd like for y'all to go and play this game, see for it for yourself. I loved it, but there are some parts of it that I'm going, this makes no sense. This did not need to be added. Or, when it comes to the ending for other games, this is not Ellen in particular, but other games, where you get to the end of the game, and you look back and you're going, I have 15 questions that were never answered. And then you added all this. What is this? But the other part of that is
Right.
like when we were talking about the Alaska thing. But again, not the only game where this is a case. But you'll notice this in a few games. When it comes to dialogue between one character and another, it sounds so freaking stiff. It's just like, dude, loosen up and
Right.
relax. Talk to the person like you've known each other all your life. I realize when it comes to writing that, it can be a little hard, but that's as simple as doing some people watching or just talking to your best bud on the phone and taking some notes. That is how you get good characters and character development between the two, because you can generally figure out the comfort level between the two, and if they're a best friend, it's different compared to like when you're talking to like a parent or something, or an authoritative figure. Know what I mean? Just something else to
Right.
look
Yeah.
into.
Another problem, and I'm trying to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was something on the Kickstarter page that they had that made me kind of feel not so bad, and I think it was the fact that they had a hard time working, like they preferred to work solo, is I think what it was. And I feel like even if they were to say, like, I don't have the money right now, can somebody please help me with my storyline to help give the best quality possible? I feel like if they would have at least asked, like, for help, that even if it was volunteering, people would have, stepped up to try and help them.
It's possible. It depends
Like, if
on.
that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's basically you have it's like for the different indie games that you're working on, you'll eventually want myself and some close friends to give you constructive criticism. Now, you'd also have to assume
Right.
that because if you're going to ask some rando, they might just play it and say, yeah, it's fine, and not actually give you the feedback that you really need. So I can understand how that might be a little hard for some people to ask and say, hey, I have this game. Can you check it out? I'm looking specifically for constructive criticism. What can be helped with.
Right.
Though, again, after a while, it's kind of like, I've already got all this in here. Do I really want to have to go through all this crap? However, that being said, even with the game being finished, it's good. But I just hope the next game that they make will be a little
Yeah.
better. You know what I'm saying?
Also, it kind of, and I'm just saying this in general because all of this is on the Kickstarter itself. Um, the artist, pretty much the developer, said that the biggest reason they made this game was because they had something to prove. That they were trying to show, like, judgmental people that they could make a game. And this came from the developer themselves.
Oh,
And that kind of gives the expectation of, like, yeah.
so
And I
it's
think that's where yeah.
okay. So it's not a matter of they had a passion for it. It was they were trying to play prove a point. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
much what it
In
was.
that case, I would honestly say all is forgiven. Because I can totally understand being vindictive towards people that look at you and go, you can't do this because whatever. I have an opinion. You know what I mean? But I'm saying from the standpoint of a gamer, there are some things that I would love to see fixed. Like I said, not a bad game, but still needs a little bit of polish to it. But if this is just a vengeful fuck you to somebody, great job on you. I have no qualms with
I
stuff like
mean,
that.
I mean, it's kind of a toss up
Yeah.
because that kind of borders the line of, okay, I am all for, saying, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. However, if you're going to do that, don't request $20,000 to do that.
Yeah.
You can easily get your point across. See, here's the thing, and I really wish I could find it, but I can't find it right now for some reason, and I've been searching on Kickstarter and I can't find it, so I'm frustrated. But the
Well,
problem is that in their little message,
yeah.
basically they're saying this game is my passion and I'm very passionate about it, but this is also a big fuck you to my haters. So it kind of gave mixed messages.
Yeah, because that sounds like it's a passionate
So
fuck
is it
you.
and the thing is that this was at the very top of their Kickstarter page.
Hmm.
So basically you had to read their mixed message, and then because on one side of that message you're seeing, um, I'm doing this game out of spite, and then you're seeing, well, it's out of spite, but I'm actually really passionate about it, so it's not really out of spite. So
Right.
it's like, are you doing this to get back at people, or are you doing it because you enjoy being a game developer and want to actually go down this career path?
Right. Now,
And
but
I honestly think that's where the Kickstarter failed.
right, because you're asking for $20,000 on what we can only surmise is a I'm only doing this to prove a point. Yeah, I'm passionate, but most of this will be out of spite. I could see why that they only got maybe the $500 out of the 20,000 that they were looking for. That still being said, what they managed to do with only getting $500 for towards their goal is decent overall. It's decent,
They
not bad.
didn't, but they didn't even get that though.
They
They
didn't.
didn't even have that though.
So then, how did they make the game? I thought
No,
they still got the 500 at least.
I know with Kickstarter, the way that Kickstarter works is you're given like a 30-day period from the time that you post your Kickstarter to get the funds that you're requesting.
Uh huh.
And if you don't make that goal, everybody that contributed gets their money back.
Oh, okay. So they just made a game. Essential. Well, they had to have gotten money somehow, so they didn't get it from Kickstarter. So they just made the
Well,
game.
well, let me see, because here's my problem. Um, my issue is with this is that it's honestly that the way that they started their Kickstarter. Normally, you'll have all the information about the game, and then you'll have like the developer's personal like reason for doing this project or whatever.
Right.
In this case, it was flip-flopped.
Yeah.
So you've got this personal almost seeming like a personal vendetta, and then all this information about the game. It just left a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, that knowing
Just
that now after watching your stream earlier today kind of makes that whole game very strange now. I will say
yeah,
this though. That's part of that's essentially part of indie games now. The beauty and the beast behind it is that anybody can make games. Anybody can make games. If you go on itch.io.com, again, not calling anybody out, you can find some amazing gems in there. You can also find some hot garbage. Why is this here in the first place? Granted, that can be said for Steam and Epic Games and Origin and
right.
what have you. Some of the stuff that gets green lighted or what have you is will always be questionable to myself. However, that's just I could totally see why this person would still manage to have made the game, whether or not they were being spiteful about it. I will say, good on them. Even though they didn't make the Kickstarter, they still made the game. So, and considering at most
Right.
the biggest thing that I have for them as like constructive criticism would be one, get better voice actors. Two, get some better story writing when it comes to the dialogue, because the concept for the story wasn't bad, but there are specific things that need a tad more research that, again, I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin the game. I still say go and play it, get your own
Right.
opinion on it. And that's pretty much my top three things right there for that entire game. Overall, I didn't mind the graphics. Kind of gave me like a nice nostalgia PS2 feel for it. The audio, which is a big thing. Audio, even though the voice acting was decent, not the greatest, the audio was
Right.
fantabulous. From the ambiance music for the background and just different
Right.
things that you
Yeah.
interacted with was spot on. I loved that. The background scenery and cutscenes, which we mentioned before, fabulous. Loved them. So
Yeah.
overall, that I didn't mind. Everything else is just kind of like
However,
I would want those changed just a little.
well, see, another thing that I have
Oh
with
yeah, and the UI, I forgot.
how much we were well, one of the problems that I have was how much time they were because here's the thing, not only did it come off as they were trying to make a passionate game, and that they were also on the flip side being spiteful. Their message also came off a little beggy for money.
Mm.
And the only reason I say this is because they started out, their header for their thing was um developing alone.
Hmm.
And then they proceeded to say how they work like 16 to 18 hours a week or something like that. And then they go home and they're working like 6 to 11 hours um, on Alaska. And then that it also took them like a year or so to make the game. And I just kind of feel that, first of all, it's expected that as an indie game developer, like you said,
Uh-huh. So it sounds like a
indie game
pity party.
developers tend to work right. And that's why I feel that it kind of fell through. I reached out to Leon to see if he could send me the link to the Kickstarter,
Mhm.
because I feel like if we were able to read the whole letter as a whole, that we would be able to really get like an idea of like the whole picture. But the thing is that, like you said, game developers tend to work on their own in general.
For the most
A
part, yeah.
lot of game, yeah, for the most part. I mean, for the longest time, it was me and Leon.
Mhm.
And then we added Maxi to our team. So like we're a fairly small team ourselves. When I made Sakura Bloodshed, I was working 60 hours a week at Walmart, and then going home and working on, you know, working on my games, working on my projects. So, I mean, it's it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth to see a developer like, try to pull out a small violin and just kind of like, oh, I work alone, I work all these hours, I'm in school,
Yeah.
I really need the financial support. That's what a Kickstarter is for.
Right.
Like, I don't need to hear you're working alone and that, you've got a busy life, because 9 out of 10, that's every other game developer.
That's like
So
everybody
it
that
kind
is
of
an adult right now. We understand. Just tell us, okay.
so
I would say in general, whether you're a game developer or not, the pity party is not. You know what? I can't say that. I can't say that either, because sometimes the pity party will work, but you gotta phrase it in such a way that if you are gonna do that, and I am not suggesting pity party, for the love of God. If you can help it, don't. But what I'm getting at merely is if you're just trying to honestly showcase a passion that you have, whether it's gaming, whatever, making a game, I don't care. Just tell us why you're so passionate about it. We don't need to hear the sob story, because everybody's got a sob story. I've got a sob story. I refuse to share it because nobody needs to hear it. You know what I mean? I would sooner y'all just know me for the me that you see right now. Not saying that it's any different off camera. There's
right,
just a lot of my life that you don't need to know about. So, but I bring to
right.
you the content that I bring to you because this is what I want to share. It's what I'm passionate about. So, really? A pity
By the
party?
way,
Yeah.
by the way, speaking of you and your channel, honey,
Yes, girlfriend.
yesterday's stream, yesterday's stream, that was phenomenal. And by the way, I'm looking at your gorgeous face right now.
Aww.
You are still glowing today. Like,
I
you
blame
are
my lighting. I
still.
figured it out. It doesn't look like I'm super whitewashed anymore.
I know, but you were glowing. You look so great today.
Aw,
And,
yeah.
like, it was really nice to see the entire community come together and, support you.
Aw. I really love you guys. You guys do
Like,
so much for me, and I don't think I explain enough of how grateful and thankful I am to everybody. Even if it's just I see you like maybe once a month. I get it. Adulting happens, everybody's got a life, whatever. I'm incredibly grateful.
right, right. And, like, yeah, so y'all, Shweebe thinks that, like, she doesn't show us enough that she loves us. And, like, I tell her every day of the week that, like, we love her no matter what. So if you're seeing this at this point, please tell Shweebe how much her channel means to you, because I think she really needs to see just how great she is in order for her to finally accept it.
Well, it just won't happen. It's kind of like when people pay me compliments. It's like, oh, thanks, because I don't know how to react to it. So, getting back to games.
Um,
Getting back to games.
yes, Leon actually came through and sent me the Kickstarter.
I kind of don't
Give me
want us to pick on Alaska any further.
I know, I can't help it. It
I
made
know,
me
it's because
so
that's what your
angry.
stream was today, and it was great, but I feel like at this point we're just kind of beating a dead horse.
Right.
I would love to
Right.
read it afterwards if you want to just send me that link. But
Right,
what are
yeah.
some I don't know, what
Um
are some bigger named games that you've played recently that have done something that you can find either forgivable or unforgivable? A lively ghost, hello and welcome. How are you?
um Oh, hey, wow. Wow, Leon. That was quick. I just sent you the link. That's Leon.
Oh, hey, Leon.
Lee Ghost is Leon. So anyway, um, so Leon and I actually played Red Haze on Steam,
Did you like
and
that?
very adult heavy contented filled game.
Ooh.
But it is just amazing. It follows the story of Rocket. She kind of makes her way through this like abandoned apartment building that she's squatting in, and she's trying to like recover from her like addiction.
Oh.
So it's an interesting game, and it seems really bad at first. Like, it seems like, it's glorifying all the wrong things. But this
Mhm.
developer obviously put a lot of thought into it. They said in the credits that they actually had help from somebody who has gone through and experienced a lot of that. Um, so it was nice to see that the developer did their research and really worked hard to put out this high quality game that, I mean, we really didn't have much to say about that negatively. Honestly, it was great.
Well, that's good. Is there anything in it that you would possibly uh, change or give constructive criticism to? Wow, I could not get that word out any worse
Um,
if I
the
tried.
biggest thing that the biggest thing that we really didn't enjoy that comes to mind is they have a part in that game that is kind of designed after like Doom. It's got like a Doom point of view, and you're working through like this maze.
Hmm.
And the only thing that I would change about it is make the controls a little tighter. I mean,
You're a little
it's
warbly right now.
plain until. Am I warbling?
Oh, there you go.
Am I good?
You're good now. I don't know what that was, but you fixed it.
Right. Yeah, we have Spectrum. I don't think I can really explain anymore on that one.
Fair enough.
But basically there was an area of the game where the controls were kind of loose and the perspective was, a bit wonky. However, the developer actually commented on that, not on anything that we've done yet, because we're still working on the script for that review.
Okay.
However, they have commented on other content creators' videos involving that game, and they said that it was really something that they were just trying to add to their game to really kind of set it apart from everybody else. And given, my brand, what I do, and the games that I'm trying to create, I really, really respect that.
Right.
So they admitted that, it wasn't the best. However, it was something that they were trying out. And I highly encourage anybody who is a game developer to just give it a try.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't, however, get too cocky about it and say that it's the best thing ever, because odds are good if it's new, it's gonna need work. That's all I can say about that.
True. Very, very true. But that doesn't mean that, don't try it at least. You never know until you try.
Don't try it. Try it, but expect that people aren't expect that it may not get the results that you were expecting or hoping for. I always try to tell people to keep an open mind, especially when you're trying new things. The thing with being an indie game developer is there's always going to be things that people are going to like and that they're not going to like. So just keep that in mind and don't let it bring you down. And if it's constructive, consider listening to that constructive criticism, because it honestly may just help you.
Right. But constructive criticism in the sense of it's somebody that is respectfully going, hey, if you tweak this a little better, or hey, could you possibly add this? I think this would make the overall experience better, is considered constructive criticism. Not having the masses going, why isn't this multiplayer? Not everything needs to be multiplayer. Back off already. Damn.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank
Leon
you.
says the part was
I've
like
been
a 3D looking dungeon crawl thing. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
There we go. Yeah, he described it better than, because we actually had to swap out at that point because it was making me motion sick.
Ooh.
Okay, actually, the best way to put it is it had the look and feel of Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion.
Oh.
It had that perspective.
Okay. I got you. And
Yeah,
Leon
it
says
was.
never
It
seen
was.
anything like it before.
Yeah, it almost had a Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion feel to it, but in a game like that, I've never seen it either. So although it wasn't the best part of the game, I do consider it a highlight.
Oh, something else. And this isn't necessarily just for indie games. This is any game in general, and I'm picking on Ni no Kuni specifically for this one. And a lot of other JRPGs do this. It's when the tutorial for the game on how you're supposed to play and whatever lasts like 3 hours long. Literally 3 hours long, and it's like, I just want to play the game. You can make all of this a lot faster. I realized, okay, I love Ni no Kuni. It's one of my favorite games. It is so underrated. I'm so happy that they moved it to the Switch. But that is besides the point. The tutorial is so freaking long. The tutorial technically doesn't end until you have gone through the trials in the desert. That is at least 3, if not 4 hours worth of gameplay, depending if you like to do a crap ton of grinding, which I don't. That is besides the point. But, I mean, you figure everything out that you're supposed to do, because it includes the trials and whatever, but it's like you can't really run around the world until much later, and it's like, I just let me play the game. Jesus. I can't go
Right.
here, I can't go there, just play the freaking game. You can do all this so much faster. I love tutorials. Make them shorter, make them more precise. You don't always have to make them tie into the storyline. Just say, you can do this and move on. Let's go. Please.
Right. I actually thought it was really funny because we had started Ni no Kuni on your channel, and like I was right there for it the entire time.
I love that
And
game. It's
to have
gorgeous.
to go through and like, oh great, we must be like, you know, a good chunk of the way through, and then
I
right
loved
before
that.
you end the stream, it's oh, chapter 1, the beginning. And all I hear Shweebe is, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, no. Okay, so when I streamed Ni no Kuni on the channel, I had already played it. It was a gorgeous game. I was like, I need to share this with everybody. It's so awesome. So when I finally found a means to stream it, I was like, I'm sharing this, but then I'm also going to explain just how annoying this tutorial bullshit is, because it lasts the entire first village thing to the forest, the entire forest, the fall forest, and then half the desert place. Oh, and the volcano. That's a lot of game being covered that is strictly tutorial. That's not including the first part of the game, which is mainly like cutscenes and character introductions and character development and whatever. That is excluded, but that's still 3-4 hours just down the pipe strictly for a tutorial. Don't do this to me, please. Can only take so much.
Yeah. Oh man, but I mean, it's wow. Yeah, I'm like half dead. But like Ni no Kuni is a great game and I love it. I have Ni no Kuni the Relevant Kingdom. Is that the second one?
That is the second one. I have not beaten it yet because it's
Yeah,
so
I own
different
the
from the
second
first one.
Yeah, I have Ni no Kuni too. I haven't really played it that much, but I do have it.
Nice. I'm just a little nitpicky with the second one because it's not the same as the first one. So it's like there's all these new stuff. You can't collect the monsters, and I'm like, but I want to. They're adorable. Give me the wolf puppy thing. I want it. Jeez.
Right. So, okay, so is there anything, and I meant to ask, I think I asked this in the Crash stream the other day. Is there anything special that you have planned for 2021? Like, what is one thing that you want to get done? Because I know we've thrown a lot of salt in here, so I feel like we could probably add a little sugar into this pot.
Sweeten it
So,
up
like,
just a tad.
what is one thing that you would like? Yeah, so, like, what is one thing that you would love to, one goal that you would love to meet by the end of 2021?
I don't know. My goals are, a lot of the goals that I have are things that are out of my control. Like, if you want to say, most of it, okay, I would suppose my overall goal is to get a better understanding of TubeBuddy, which in hints gives me a better understanding of YouTube. But the other goal is I do want to start streaming on Twitch. This is why I am now using Streamlabs, because I've heard it's a lot easier. Granted, it has its own things that I'm still learning. But, and like I started including the stream intro and stream outro. I'm just adding more creativeness to how I do things in general, because I want overall to be more consistent than I have been before. I have gone 4 years now on YouTube, and not once have I managed to complete an entire year. This year alone, I managed at least 40, if not 50 videos more than last year, so that much is good. But, and I realize adulting happens and whatever, but for me personally, I would love overall, it doesn't have to be a 2021 thing, just in general, for me to be more consistent and more responsible with myself with a passion that I clearly enjoy. I guarantee you the main reason why it hasn't really taken off in the manner that I had hoped it would by this point is because I'm just inconsistent as hell. I can't help it. I have ADHD. I see the shiny thing and I get distracted for like 3 days straight. So that's where I am. But
Right.
how about
Yeah.
yourself, Uni? What's a 2021 goal or just a goal in general that you have?
So for me, my biggest thing, and it's been something that I've been working really hard now for the last like almost month, is the expanding my server and growing my server. I actually looked this morning, and I was actually really excited to see that we are up to, I think, yeah, we're one person away from 20 members.
Oh, that's
So like
awesome.
for only having this,
I said that's awesome.
yeah, so mainly growing my channel and growing my Discord server is mainly like my goals for this year. So, and if anybody is interested in hearing about it, since we're on the topic of like indie developers, this server is really meant to help anybody that makes content, whether you're a game developer or a YouTuber yourself. Shweebe, you've been a member of my server since the beginning. How do you feel about it?
I like it because I also partake
Not to
in.
put you on the spot there.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Though with this hair, I think I will survive. Uni server. Now I've known Uni for a very long time. I think 2 or 3 years at this point, if not the entire time that I've been on YouTube. So I can tell you, he's a great guy. Now his server is dedicated around the idea of everybody helping each other and learning from each other. Now, I've spent at least 4 years on YouTube making videos, and at least three and a half streaming, so I've got a good understanding of what it is that I do. Not by any means saying that I am a pro, but I have also got Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere since I was in high school, so that's about 12, 14 years worth of experience right there. So, where I help out mainly is in the thumbnail section. Anytime somebody posts somebody in the thumbnail section, if I'm available, I'll try and help them out. And vice versa. If I've got questions about something that I don't know, like the TubeBuddy thing, Uni's helping me out because he just started using it. I've had it for 2 years and didn't even know that there were certain features that I could have been using this whole time and didn't know about. So thank you, Uni. But if you're also just looking
You're very welcome.
if you're also just looking for a positive place to be and maybe reach out to other people that have expertise or skills that maybe you don't have and just need either a second opinion or what have you, they're there and they're willing to help. And Trap, hello and welcome to the stream. How is your Friday? I almost said Saturday. I have no idea what today is. An indie gaming podcast with Uni. I know. Fabulous. Now, Uni,
Yes,
would you
and
care to explain
yes.
why you decided to create such a Discord server?
All right, so I decided to create this Discord server mainly because although my channel is still small, on Twitter and on Discord, I've grown like a family, a fan base, and so this server is mainly for me and my team to promote our games and our projects and get our name out there. But it's also because I mean, like you said, we've known each other for a very long time, and I've always been interested in helping people in any way that I can. Being on Twitter and having previous YouTube channels, even before I met Shweebe, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is no matter what website you go on, there's always competition.
Yes.
And with YouTube and the way that YouTube is, especially with policies and the way that you now have to go that long, hard road that you have to go down to get monetized, that competition can sometimes get really bloodthirsty and vicious.
Yeah.
The whole point of the server is really just to give people a calmer, healthier, less stressful environment with the same idea in mind. I want to help people grow. It's been a passion of mine to help people to make friends, to have a family, and I've really been trying my hardest with this server to really encapsulate that.
And you clearly are doing so. Like, and I totally respect this because Uni's about having a non-toxic server. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, whether it's servers, other social media platforms, are just there to create toxicity and then just spread it around like rats and cockroaches. And it's like, we have enough crap going on in the world. Can we at least be decent human beings for a change somewhere and help each other out? This is why I love your server. I realize it's brand new, but that
Aww.
means nothing. The people that are there, most of them I know. For the ones that I don't, they're really cool. And again, we all have the different expertises, whether it's like someone like Trap. He's an animator. He also does YouTube and Twitch streams. He also knows how to use Streamlabs. Uni, TubeBuddy, Streamlabs. He's learning to be a game dev, which I think is fabulous because I can't code to save my life and I don't want to. Myself, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere. I did a tiny bit of animation, but it was on Flash, and that stuff is considered obsolete now, so don't ask me for that. I don't have it.
Right.
But I also, actually on top of that, not to toot my own horn, but beat, mofo, I did take a couple design classes, so... I took a couple design classes. That's why, if you'll notice, most of the advice that I give, it's following it's a code of design when it comes to colors and whatever. So that's why they are the way they are. And Trap agrees. He says good ideas to have for your server, Uni.
Thank you, Trap. Yeah, first of all, I want to apologize because I'm not trying to use your channel to push my agenda, but
yes,
I mean, it's really nice to get on here and have this discussion because I'm trying my best and wow, I can't speak. Anyway, I apologize, Shweebe, for throwing that out there and just kind of pushing that without talking to you first. That wasn't
apologize.
my.
I brought you on this podcast so you could do it. I don't care. I fully, if I have anybody invited onto the podcast, I fully expect you to beep your own horn on here at some point. So, be my guest. And it's related to what we're talking about anyways. And Trap says,
Right.
beep, mofo. Shweebes ain't playing with her design. Heck yeah. That's right. Now, I think...
it
Huh? No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say...
I was just...
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Trap is a member of my community as well. I kind of want to toot his horn too. Trap is an amazing guy. He has always been supportive. Please go check him out too. He's really an amazing friend overall. I've known him for quite a while now, and he does some really interesting, because we're on the topic of sharing platforms and getting people out there. Indie Monday, you guys, that is really how I got to this point, and I can't not come on here and talk about where I am without talking about Trap, because Trap really has gone out of his way to encapsulate honestly, I got my ideals from watching Trap, because Trap and Shweebe, I watch them both, and they both just love sharing people and helping people. And with Indie Monday, I mean, Trap has literally sat there for hours doing nothing but promoting other people simply because he wants to help them.
Right.
So that was my little piece. I just wanted to throw that out there because I cannot not mention Trap.
Right. And of course,
So
the
anyway,
links
as
aren't
you were saying,
working.
Shweebe.
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, the links aren't working, but I've also got Trap's channel posted. Again, once the stream is over, I'll have all of these links posted in a pinned comment for everybody to go check out the games, go check out the channels. Trap does an amazing thing. It's called Indie Monday, where he will showcase various creators, whether they're animators, gamers, cooking channels, I don't care what it is, actual indie games, stuff on Kickstarters and whatever, and gives back to his community in such a radical way. It's so fantastic. You definitely got to go and check it out sometime. Show your support, subscribe, and like his stuff because he is an awesome guy. I've known him for years as well. Fantastic dude. And Trap says, and now Uni, I have a new promotion. More for you. Indie Gaming Weekend. Ooh, fancy.
Yes, I love that. It's correct me if I'm wrong, Trap, but that is specifically promoting indie game developers like myself, correct? Um I wanted to do that, but I don't have anything out yet. I've been working hard on Loving Lavender, which, if you're curious about that, I've got plenty of information on my channel involving that. Um, yet again, um, if you enjoy my seeing me here today, please subscribe to me. I work very hard as much as anybody else does. However, I work very hard to make content for um, really anybody who is considering being an indie game developer, and really showing my journey and my process of, making indie games and, just that whole thing. So if it's something that you're interested in, I do gameplay streams, as you heard at the beginning of today's stream. We do kind of swap back and forth between original content and gaming content. So like, to be sure to check out my channel. That's pretty much my last like horn toot for today. But I'm starting. I'm really looking to at least get to 75 subscribers. We are so close. I've got like 3 subscribers to go. So if my channel sounds interesting to you, please consider checking me out, and I would love you forever.
And like I said, links will be posted in a pinned comment once the stream is done. Now, I think we're done with the sugarcoating little intermission. Let's go back to some saltiness. I actually just thought of this while we were chit-chatting. The other thing that is so important when it comes to indie games or big games in general is fucking volume control for the characters' audio and music audio. Separate those two, please, and make it available for something that you can fix before you even start playing the game. When it comes to, random example, Diablo 3, I prefer to have the music for the game at like a 25 out of 100, and then have my characters' voices, because I like to hear the story when I play story mode, and put them at 75, and then put like any of their attack sound effects or whatever, or I think that's called like background noise in general, at 50. I want to be able to hear what they're saying. Yes, the music is fantabulous and adds all kinds of ambience and whatever, but I need to be able to hear what the heck is going on. It's more important. Oh, and subtitles. Add freaking subtitles. If I can't understand what they're saying, I need to at least be able to read it. What's another thing I want to bitch about real quick? Oh, when it comes to making up names for characters, for the love of God, make it something that I can actually pronounce. I'm playing Amnesia Rebirth and I can't pronounce half of the names that are being brought up. There is my salt. It is your turn now, Uni.
Wow.
It was too much sugar.
You
I
know,
had to salt it up.
I'm at a loss for words. You just kind of like took the words out of my mouth. I feel like that came up because of today's stream. I mean, Shweebe, I thought you couldn't hear the doors opening.
I could taste it once you finally got it fixed. No, that wasn't even because of your stream. That was more like a technical difficulty, which I've had plenty of myself. But it's just when I go to play a new game, again, it doesn't matter if it's an indie game, it doesn't matter if it's a big brand name game. Have volume control for the things, please. Make it to where music,
right,
character audio, and sound effects are all separate tabs that I can change where it is needed, please. Because I'd like to be able to hear what is being said. Yes, I want to hear the ambiance, but let me frickin' decide at what levels I'd like to hear all of it. I don't need to hear the door open at like 150 decibels. Have my ears bleeding, and then I'm wondering where the hell I am.
Oh man. Okay, so one thing that drives me insane about video games in general is, please, if you're going to design your levels, design it efficiently and stop putting a ton of empty spaces everywhere.
Oh my god.
If I'm not gonna find anything down there, don't put anything there.
Right.
For the love of God.
It's one thing if it's like, okay, what? There's so many games I could use as references for this. Alright, fine. Amnesia, The Dark Descent, or whatever. Obviously, you're in a giant castle. There's gonna be just excess rooms. I get that. But make sure, granted, I'm not saying that it was a bad game or anything. I freaking love Dark Descent. But it did have some rooms that's like, why is this here? There's no reason for me to be here. They were smart enough to put in spookily things that would happen. Whether or not you found matches or oil, it's like, okay, that's fine. I can deal with a technically an empty room. Nothing important is here. But don't just have an empty space, a large-ass empty space, that where you question going, this is just wasted data. Why is this here? Oh, alright. Hang on. I gotta pause this thought real quick. Trap goes, I demand a character be named Shweebe the Fabulous and Uni the Heartbreaker. I wanted to say and Trap the Warrior, but he's correct. Trap the Thick with 2 C's. Hell yeah. No, I got it. The Thickinator. Hey, Trap the Thickinator. We got this.
Oh my god. What else? Oh yeah, please stop putting a bunch of visuals on the screen. Design your levels properly. If it's gonna be snowing in your level, for the love of God, I don't need to see 50 million freaking snowflakes dancing around my screen. If it's foggy, make sure that I can see the fucking ground. It makes me irritated when people do that, because then you go to play and you're dying because you can't see the spikes coming around because the fog in the game is so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Right. I understand that. That's more like a fine-tuning thing, but there's a difference between it adds enough of an ambience and then it's too much to where you can't play anymore. Gotta go, unfortunately. Okay, Trap, thank you so much for hanging out. We will see you later. Best of luck to your stream. Hopefully I'll be able to stop by.
Oh man, just Shweebe, just
What?
Just Shweebe, just I am at a loss for words right now, and well, it's just
okay. So I think I've got a couple other things that I can bring up now. I can always forgive graphics, like clipping and all that and whatever. I can forgive all that in the world.
Right.
A couple things that I refuse to give up, though, is when I don't really know how to explain it other than it's when the clipping is so bad that it spawns nightmares for you that following night. Like, it's, did you not play the game or create the
Fallout
character enough
76.
to where when you move you get stuck inside the table in the corner? And when you're trying to move the camera, you wind up seeing the eyeballs and the teeth and like the inside of the back of the character's face. It's nightmare fuel.
It's
It's
just
like, what
so bad.
happened?
It is. It really is. Um, have you or Phoenix played Fallout, any of the Fallout games?
Yeah, I've played 4. That's the only one I've played.
Have you any of you played Fallout, or has Phoenix played 76, Fallout 76?
No. Now, okay, neither of us. Well, I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that. Now I didn't play 76. I saw my good buddy Good Chaos play it, and this was like the day one it was open for public access or whatever. I don't know if
Now
it's gotten
that is a
any better.
dumpster fire.
I don't know if it's gotten any better, but that was a dumpster fire. It was so bad. And the last thing that I heard about it, and that was at the end of last year in 2019, was that hackers had gotten into it so bad
Oh
that they had to
God.
close down the game for a while so they could go back in and do something about it. I don't know if that ever got sorted out. I have no idea. But I was just like, that's a problem. But looks-wise, considering that they had talked it up so much, it was okay. But there was a lot of shit that happened in just day one. I'm going, okay, I get it, it's day one, but even this is unexcusable. Know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I thought it was really funny because, well, not funny because it caused a lot of issues for people. One of the biggest things about Fallout 76 that was an issue is because there were so many bugs and so many errors, people were wanting their money back. So Bethesda, which I don't even know if Bethesda even exists anymore, considering how they were bought out by Microsoft. Um, Basically, Bethesda was like, okay, submit a support ticket on our website with like the last 4 digits, like with minor card information and your address, like, whatever, and we'll refund you your money. Well, somebody pointed out that Bethesda's ticket system was not secure. So people were able to go in and edit other people's tickets or even downright delete them,
Oh my
which meant
god.
that all of their card information was to the public.
Oh.
And
They got in so much trouble.
and oh no, you know what it was? It
What?
was that big issue that everybody was pointing out where they were like selling that like $300 box or whatever, and it came with like the canvas bag and everything, and you got it and it was like a $12 nylon bag.
What?
Yeah.
Oh hell no.
Bethesda was offering. Oh yeah. So yeah, people were in an uproar about that. So I mean that was great. But
I
I
didn't hear
mean
about
to call Fallout 76 call out Fallout 76 just an ordinary dumpster fire is an insult to dumpster fires.
That is an insult to dumpster fires. Okay. There is one more salty thing that we can add to this, and then we'll see how long that takes. But this one I really wanted to include in this because I feel that it's inexcusable from indie games and especially big name games. Now, some people know this, some people don't. Now, Final Fantasy 13. I don't care what your opinion is on it. You're wrong. It's a fabulous game. I love it. But did you know that when it first came out, you could get all the way up to and you could defeat the boss, but in order to see the ending for it, you had to pay Square. It was like $15 to see it. So they, yeah, you talk about a community of people going, excuse me, I bought a game, which means it should be the full game. Why am I having to pay extra to see your ending? So, sure enough, everybody got heated and was like, fuck no. And sure enough, Square sent out an apology thing and sent all the money back and whatever. So, that being said, if you're going to put out a full game, that means beginning to end. The only thing that people should be paying money for is DLC, which includes costumes, extra weapons, actual full DLCs where it's like, there's this whole other portion of the game and extra storyline shit. That's totally okay. Totally fine, whatever. That was inexcusable. Oh my god. And I think I got the game later, but I hadn't played it for a while, but then I do remember getting that email on my PlayStation, and I was like, what? I had to pay for that? I don't think I played enough of the game to be at that point, but I know for a fact I would have been just as pissed, so whatever. They ended up giving like everybody some like free DLC because of it, and it was one of their $5 ones or something. I don't know. It was very dumb. But on top of that, what's your thoughts on microtransactions?
Oh, dear Lord in
Because
heaven.
that's not strictly an indie game thing or a big game thing. It's also a mobile game thing, but like games in general that do microtransactions, what's your initial thoughts on it?
Honestly, I think it's trash. Mainly because most games that have microtransactions hide full game content behind that paywall, and I think that's trash.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the most scummiest thing any game developer can do, more so to bigger gaming companies than indie developers. I understand having microtransactions, but don't hide my gameplay and don't hide my progress behind the goddamn paywall.
Right. And then wind up having your game being a pay to win.
Right, like, for example, Clash of Clans. They hide most of their gameplay behind a paywall. So my thing is just make me pay the $20 and I will play your game. But I'm not going to sit there and pay $2 for 200 gems and then 5 minutes later I'm going to have to upgrade a wall for 3,000 and it's going to take me 3 weeks to get all that moolah.
Right.
Don't hide that. Oh my Shweebe.
Yes.
The excessive ads.
Oh my god, you're right. The excessive ads. Wasn't even thinking about that. And Madshot, hello and welcome to the Stram. Madshot says, I'm neither for or against it, but I do find it annoying, and like you said, exactly. Jeez. Okay.
Thank you.
Microtransactions, I feel like if it's not in the sense of, like, it winds up being a play-to-win thing, if it's something along the lines of, for those of you that play the PewDiePie simulator, or Tube Simulator, whatever the hell it's called, the thing that PewDiePie made, 2-3 years ago, I still play it from time to time. Now, the microtransactions that are available in that is, like, actual, like, themed packages of items that you get, and they're permanently yours. So, that is something I'm totally okay with dropping $1 or $2 here and there. But when it's games like, I don't even remember what the game I was playing, but it was, something along the lines of Clash of Clans, but it wasn't Clash of Clans. But it was essentially, you could be facing anybody in the world kind of crap, but you would always lose to those that have dropped, like, $50 to the game. And it's like, well, how is that even remotely fun for someone like me that doesn't see the need to drop even $1 on this game, because you're not adding any kind of value to me as the player? I see no purpose for this.
Right. And okay, so the ads, the game ads.
Yes.
Oh my lord. Okay, first of all, I understand needing to get that money. Madshot says, I've got a question. What's your thoughts on the whole Cyberpunk thing? where they delayed trying to get it ready but rushed it out because of the demand from gamers? First of all, that is a very good question, and I actually kind of wanted to derail to answer that because that actually made me a little angry.
Go ahead.
I thought, okay, first of all, that made me salty because they knew they screwed up big time. And there is a couple of things about Cyberpunk that drives me nuts. One thing that I really dislike, actually, I don't even know if I should say it, is it's been a big talk on Cyberpunk. But okay, I guess my biggest thing, if we're sticking with this, is that I think that they should have just delayed it a little longer. Um, you know, taken the extra time to work on it and then released it later. Because I feel like they didn't they screwed up. They screwed up big time. There's no reason that my game should look like 2005's YouTube video. I'm not playing on a potato. I'm playing on like a $600 system.
Right.
And I have the expectation my game is going to play as such.
Right. My thoughts with Cyberpunk. Now, I've been watching a lot of it on Twitter, and Matchat also asked the people, more than likely the same people, are now complaining about the bugs in it, and we'd like our thoughts. So, I've been watching a lot of what's been going on with Cyberpunk on Twitter. I didn't really understand the hype for this game. I'd seen it here and there, whatever, not my thing. We'll see how that goes from here on out. Now, my thoughts is, much like Uni, I feel they should have just delayed it, but like what Nintendo did with Animal Crossing was they don't release a date. Actually, Kingdom Hearts 3 did something similar. They said that they were going to delay it, and they refused to release a date they didn't want to have that form of stress and anxiety on the game development team that was busy creating the game. Now, I feel like it's not strictly just the gamers that were demanding that this game come out right this second. I can't say that it was just them. Because at some point, the corporate bigwigs also go, y'all need to hurry up and get this game out there. So you've got, like two different sides clashing down on the devs. So it's like the whole thing was just one giant big ass mess that could have easily been avoided, I think. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, merely my own opinion. But they should have just delayed it. Without a release date, just continued to work on it for as long as they needed to, instead of, as Uni so eloquently put it, putting out a 2005 potato game and giving the graphics that this game clearly deserves, because the game sounds really cool, and I'm glad I didn't pre-order it or buy it, because from what I've seen on Twitter just looking at it, my God, Bethany, what is wrong with your rocket ship, alright? I think you just came in on a tater tot today. Jeez.
Oh man, it's just so many games do that, and specifically, oh honey, I'm gonna pick on Bethesda right now. Bethesda is the queen of releasing half-baked brownie games.
Well,
like,
not all of them, but their most recent titles, yeah. Like Skyrim, that is the cockroach of all games. I'm still waiting for my microwave edition, but that is a brilliant game. Just, I feel like some of their later games, I feel like they've been dropping the ball hardcore, and it's like, really? This is from Bethesda? Come on, y'all could do so much better than this. What's wrong with you?
Actually, I actually thought it was really funny because somebody had posted a meme online, and it was a little girl crying at like her kid's table with a crayon, and she was doing like a crayon drawing, and the caption was Bethesda's reaction to Microsoft making them finish games before they released them, and it had me dying.
I've
All
seen
I can
that
see
one.
is just
Oh,
Oh
I've
man.
seen that one. Wait, hang on. Madshot goes, agreed. Ultimately, it was their decision to release or hold it, not their fan base. Exactly. You can have, okay, this kind of goes part and partial with parenting. You have the whiny ass kid. Oh, I'm serious. I've raised plenty of kids. You have the whiny ass kid going, I want it now, I want it now. You told them to wait. It will happen at some point when you calm the fuck down and we are done and we're ready. Calm down. If you just let the kid have it, they are immediately going to complain, it's not the same! I wanted it this way! Why isn't it pink? There's no fucking glitter on it! Instead of making the kid wait and getting them the thing, whatever it was, could have been a cookie for all I know, being the thing that they actually wanted and it's in its most pristine thing, and then they're gonna go, oh, it's perfect, I love you! And then
I
just carry
know.
on. That's exactly what it reminds me of when they pull this kind of shit. And Matchshot also says
Right.
that honestly would have been the best way to handle that. So true. I feel so bad for the devs and people that worked on it so hard. Exactly. I guarantee they're still working on it because of the amount of bugs that have been reported and some of the questionable graphics that have been posted on Twitter. I really hope they're working on it. However, if we haven't learned by now, the gaming fan base, I'm looking at you and me. I don't know where my mirror is. Be patient with the devs. For feck's sake, if you want a beautiful, gorgeous game, clearly, Cyberpunk is one of those games that requires a shit ton of graphics and so on and so forth. It needs time if you want it to look like the gem that it's supposed to be. Jesus, that deving, coding, art, and all that shit is not easy. Have you done 3D designing? I did. It's hard as hell. My god, getting a character to take 2 steps is so freaking annoying to do.
Right. One thing that really irritated me about Cyberpunk is a few days after, like, I think it was like 2 days after release, there was word going around that there was, and it has since been fixed. However, in the real world, in the medical industry, they have a machine that is used to purposely trigger seizures in people as a way to diagnose, and it's literally a machine that like uses flashing lights to force you to have a seizure.
Right. It's to test to see if you're susceptible to it.
Right, and Cyberpunk actually has a feature in that game, and there was no seizure warning at the beginning of the game. So there were a ton of people who were like, hey, by the way, I have epilepsy and I'm lucky I didn't have a seizure because...
Oh my god, are you serious? That's so dangerous. If you even have a 3-second portion of where you have flashing lights, you have to have a disclaimer. 1, it covers your own ass, and 2, it saves people from possibly going into a seizure. A seizure is not something to laugh and joke about. That shit is very dangerous. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Cyberpunk didn't have a warning for like up to, I think, like 3 or 4 days after release. I'm actually really surprised that they didn't get sued.
Yeah, and... Okay. I'm just gonna leave that one to sit in the salt bank for now because I have so many choice words that I feel is not even appropriate here. I'm gonna go to what Madshot had just said. No, you're fine. He goes, I feel it had so much potential and very well could have been the next game of the decade sort of thing. Yeah, right. I think everybody was expecting that, but because of it being rushed, clearly it was rushed if they don't even have a basic disclaimer saying, warning, flashing lights may cause seizures if you have epilepsy or whatever. Contact your doctor, or however that thing goes that I have seen on every single freaking game. Even, I'm pretty sure even Undertale has that. And Undertale is a very basic, what do you call it? It's the side scroller of sorts. Whatever, top-down view.
Basic mechanic game.
But even that one has the freaking disclaimer because there are flashing lights that happen every now and then. That's just basic. Okay, if you are an indie game dev, If you are a big name game dev person, shame on you. How dare you? But you better have a disclaimer to cover your own ass so you don't wind up sued and so you don't wind up throwing somebody into a seizure. That's so fucking dangerous. Oh my god.
The only other issue that I had with Cyberpunk was there were very not so okay comments made by people on the team, and things included in the game that the LGBT community has pointed out as very not okay.
Oh, really?
And that, yeah, basically, from what I understand, is one of the right, I think it was like one of the writers or something, had made the anti-trans joke, like, did you just assume my gender kind of thing, as a way to promote their um their gender choices in the game. And a lot of people were really upset about that. There was a poster in the game that like just exclusively sexualized trans people, and that was brought up on online as well. I mean, all of this stuff is publicly accessible, and they have, I don't know if they've actually addressed it, but some of the stuff that they're saying is like really supportive of the LGBT community, while some of the stuff that they're saying is like, whoa, dude, it's like 2020 and that's not okay.
Wow.
So that is like the only other issue that I have with Cyberpunk. And I tried to bite my tongue on it because, I mean, I don't want to like start a fight anywhere, but that is something, whether you're a big game developer or an indie game developer, don't be offensive. If you think that a large group of people are going to be offended by something, don't do it, because that's honestly, that's career suicide.
Well, what it comes down to is just basic human common decency.
It's human decency.
Exactly. Just it's common sense and human decency in general. Don't be a freaking ass hat. Love thy neighbor or whatever.
Right.
And the biggest thing that I will say is do not include controversial or political BS in your games, because people don't play games for that crap. They play games to escape the realism of the bullshit that we are stuck in. Hate to break it to you. However, the only few games where that kind of breaks that law code rule in general, because rules are meant to be broken, would be like actual war games or whatever, because there's going to be politics and controversial crap in there, because it's a freaking war game.
Like Assassin's Creed.
Right, Assassin's Creed, like or the Creed. They actually have legit war games. At one point, you could play World War II, and I forget what console it was for because I never played it. But different things like that. Obviously, there's going to be controversial stuff, but if you don't want to start a war, don't. Just fucking don't. You know what I mean? I believe,
right. I mean,
not to go down that road in particular, but I fully believe that everybody is allowed to have their own happiness. If you don't like what makes them happy, mind your own business and take your eyes and yourself somewhere else and go be happy in your own damn bubble. For fuck's sake. Jeez 'em.
Right. And it's mainly just important to know, you know, when is this okay to bring up and when is it just going to be offensive. Right. And for them, in some cases, I can partly understand those choices had it actually pertained to Cyberpunk, but it doesn't. It just came out of left field, and it was just distasteful.
It's like
Leon
when it's
just
not
bought
necessary.
the game because he, right, and Leon has the game. He bought it for the PS4 on disc. So he's gonna give it a try because he likes to give things the benefit of the doubt. But as somebody who is part of the LGBT community, he found a lot of that stuff like not offensive and not okay. So I'm not saying, boycott Cyberpunk, but I mean, just keep in mind that some of the choices that were made during Cyberpunk's development don't necessarily reflect the all around viewpoint of the developing team. Because not everybody, when you're working for a big corporation, not everybody has a choice in what is said and what is done.
Right.
So the biggest thing that I can remember that I can think to tell everybody is don't when you boycott something or you're choosing not to buy something, you're not taking away just from big companies. You are taking away from smaller developers and their work and their money and food security. So just kind of keep in mind that when it comes to controversial games and think about the impact that choices like that have on more than just the big company.
Right. But
I guess is what I'm getting at.
right. No, I totally understand. However, I feel okay, looking at this from the point of a gamer, strictly a gamer, somebody who goes and buys the game because I was interested in getting the game kind of thing. I would fully expect that whoever AOKs this to go out to the stores, whether it's digital, disc, or otherwise, that they would have gone through and looked at all of this, or had somebody else go through and go, this is perfectly acceptable for the public, not just for a small section of peoples that happen to think that way or whatever. Because that is okay. That is totally unacceptable. Now, the only time that this slight rule could probably be broken would be a game like Mafia, because that's based back in, like, I think it was like the 1920s or whatever, something like that. So obviously there was like a lot of racial crap going on. Women were being, treated a specific way during that time. So that is the real way that they had to portray a lot of the game. Racist, sexist bullshit. That's just how it was. But it fit, and because that's technically what was appropriate for that time period, you know what I mean? You can make a futuristic game or whatever and exclude all the controversial bullshit and just make a really cool world. Not saying that there wouldn't be any controversies in the future. I've played plenty of futuristic games where they had their own form of controversies, like they were against this specific race of alien, or there was some other game that I played, I don't even remember what it was, but they had things against AIs and robots or whatever, which that, I think, in a way, kind of represents a lot of what we go through on a day-to-day basis anyways with our own controversies, but doesn't hit the ones that are actually going on right now that are currently being worked on. You know what I mean? We don't need that.
Yeah.
This is a game. We are trying to escape our own real-life bullcrap and go into what we would like to be a fantasy world of sorts and be told a story and be part of it. Or at least that's how I've always played games. Other people, it's something to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The big gaming industry is a mess. It definitely needs to be worked over. But definitely though, support smaller game developers. Me. Love me.
Well, you would be surprised what gems you'll find around just from essentially your average Joe single dev person making their own thing. We've got Uni. He's made his, well, actually you're technically working on a couple games, but the Blood Sakura, Loving Lavender. There was a third one though. I think you changed the name.
It was okay, so we are currently my three biggest current projects right now are Monster Party, Loving Lavender, and Midnight Run.
Midnight
Sakura
Run.
Bloodshed, we are yep, Midnight Run and Sakura Bloodshed and Monster Party are actually all on the back burner right now. And I'm focusing on Loving Lavender, mainly due to cost.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, I mean, supporting smaller game developers can a lot of times mean a lot more than, spending money from a big game developer who has, sponsors and partner deals, and for a lot of smaller game developers, we don't have that.
Right.
It's
Now that's
just us
not saying don't go
trying
out
to
and spend your money on the big games out there, but that's saying go and look out at
exactly,
some of the smaller indie game devs because you'd be surprised what some people can come up with. I found a few gems that I'm going, this was made by one person? What the hell? Get on here and make more.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, support and love everybody is the goal.
Exactly. All right. I think this was a really good first Salty podcast. Uni, thank you so much for joining me. And we're shooting the shit about all kinds of games and our different thoughts and opinions on
Right.
indie games and so on.
Yeah, not a problem. It was a lot of fun. I apologize if I seem slightly tired. I did stream earlier today, so my energy is, a little lower than I'd liked, but when you got on here and was like, "Get over here, we're doing this," I just,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Make it
please.
sound like I
So,
twisted your arm about it.
right. So, yeah, not a problem. I had a lot of fun today, though, seriously.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, all the links to the games that we talked about, at least the indie games, and the channel's uni traps will be posted in a pinned comment once the stream is done being processed and it is available for everybody's reviewing pleasures. Go and check them all out. They're fabulous individuals. Go check out Uni's Discord server. I'll have that linked in there as well. All the games that we mentioned, go play them, try them out for yourselves. Tell us what you thought about them. And I think that's going to call it for the Salty Podcast. So,
Should we give the battle cry?
oh hell yeah, let's do a Salty Podcast battle cry. Woo! Yeah!
Woo! Yeah!
We'll see you guys later. Bye!
Bye!